we are going to be getting a Flashpoint style storyline in The Flash episode 20, which is coming up, but this episode review is going to be on episode 19 of The Flash. We're going to go through a recap, the most notable moments, the scene stealer, and the standout character of the week. So here comes the recap. We open with a typical day in the life of Barry Allen, carrying out his morning duties with all his speedster capabilities intact. But we find out it's all just a dream. And now he has to carry out his morning duties just as Barry Allen, the average Joe. It's got a great soundtrack here and it's a pretty cool opening. Dr. Wells has tracked down his daughter Jessie, takes his gun in case of other threats, but before he leaves he blames Barry for the possibility of the portal opening up again and Zoom possibly getting through. Then we see Zoom has got Kate leaves, and then Caitlin finally gets to meet her doppelganger Killer Frost. Wells catches up with his daughter and she tells him to leave, but on his way back there's a guy standing in the middle of the road who causes his car to crash. He turns out to be a guy called Griffin Grey, who not only blames Dr. Wells for his ability to be incredibly strong, but also for his propensity to age faster than his years, which is going to lead him on the road to a premature death if Dr. Wells doesn't get this sorted out. As a result, Wells' capture puts Barry in a pretty precarious situation, where he has to do what Dr. Wells and even Cisco's had to do when they found themselves in pretty dangerous situations with no abilities that are physical that gives him an upper hand. This poses a dilemma for Barry and exposes Barry as a newly readjusted human Barry. This causes him to put on the suit that has some added help to it, which enables him to take just one punch from Grey before he's exposed as just a regular guy. And with Caitlin gone, Jessie steps up as her substitute using a 1 of 5 majors. And shit, she's a smart girl. Then we switch to Zoom, who is hoping that Caitlin's going to give into some kind of Stockholm syndrome and fall in love with him. And Zoom expresses this psychotic obsession with Caitlin that actually enables him to see the potential in returning back to her world where she wants to go home. So he does actually say at the end of the episode, we're going to go back. This connects brilliantly with Wells' earlier concern about the portal bringing Zoom back into their world. This episode has its moments and could have been confused with the filler episode, but definitely didn't, because it did actually progress the plot of the story forward without rushing into the idea of setting up the particle accelerator once again. The most notable moments in the episode. Here we go. We see the man in the iron mask again, and Caitlin poses the question we all want to know at this stage: the fuck is he? Wally is onto the Flash, but not in the way that you think. He's onto the Flash because he's interested in thanking him. He, interestingly enough, doesn't actually question who the Flash is. We see that he mainly just wants to thank him, but doesn't at any point question the identity of the Flash. At this point, it doesn't even register. And you would think, in terms of the words that Zoom had said to him in the previous episode about the Flash doing it because somebody he cares for is invested in Wally's survival, that you would have actually expected that maybe Wally would sit back and go, who could that be? The face behind the mask. It's not even that much of a stretch to consider the secret identity of the Flash, but he doesn't seem to be playing with his mind at all. That's pretty notable, because I think most people would be like, who the fuck is behind that mask, huh? Who is it? Griffin Grey was a pretty interesting part of this episode, because he was the guy who I felt shone a bit of a mirror up at Wells. Because the thing about Wells is that Wells has had both his daughter and even Cisco make him see himself, and Griffin was the one who offered him a moment to see himself and the consequences of his actions. And the reason why this was pretty interesting is because in the end, despite having his consequences shined in his face in the form of Griffin Grey, he still decides, fuck the fucking consequences, I'm going to help you, Barry, get your speed back, and we're going to do this particle accelerator thing all over again. And at this point, he doesn't really consider that what if there is other consequences this time round. Considering what happened the first time round, how widespread all those things went, how many people were affected, and what that did for the city, and the people who chose to be good and the people who chose to be bad. And on top of that, Griffin didn't really choose to be bad. He was essentially just a guy who was consumed by revenge and anger and the fact that he'd lost his entire fucking life. I've got my bunny here. My bunny was eating shit down there. My bunny's just doing shit. We're gonna go to the scene stealer of the episode. The thing about The Flash is The Flash has a lot of scene stealing moments in every single episode, but the scene stealer of this episode, I would have to give it to Zoom killing Killer Frost, because in terms of the entire sequence, it was fucking brilliant. It was really good. That's definitely the scene stealer of the entire episode. It wasn't too cool that Killer Frost died, because I really loved the interaction between Caitlin and Killer Frost, and knowing actually how much of a nuance it added to the actress, because in the beginning I didn't actually think this was a very good actress. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think she was a very good actress, and I felt like having those two parallel characters in the same space and managing to see the differences and the capabilities in her acting chops really was a good thing to see in this episode. So it was a shame that she died. But what can you say? The standout character of the episode, I would have to say, was Wells. Now, Wells is a really great character, and he whispers a lot. Barry, I am gonna help you get your speed back, and I won't stop until I get Jessie back, because Jessie is my world. She is my world. I like him though. I actually think he's brilliant. He's a standout character in every single episode, and he's brilliantly faceted. He's just like a diamond. There's so many sides to him. He's a pretty complex guy. He's the most complex character on this show, and it's really fascinating to watch when he's driven by things like love and by hopelessness and maybe loss. He's actually got a lot of depth and a lot of nuance through all the whispering. I think he's one of the best things about the show, if not the best thing about the show. So anyway, that's my roundup of episode 19 of The Flash. I am going to be, I think it's episode 19. Yeah, and I am going to be on the next episode. Now, I'm in the UK, so we do get episodes late, which is why this is late, but I'm going to try and find a way to get hold of it online. I will be back with episode 20 ASAP. I need to watch it. We're going into Flashpoint territory here. This is pretty fucking exciting, and The Flash is one of my favourite shows, if not my favourite comic book show on television right now. So I am on it, and I will be here. Keep an eye out for me and my reviews. I'll be back. Thanks for joining me. If you want to see any more videos from me in terms of reviews of The Flash, I will be coming up with even more. I know it seems like I'm jumping in late. I'm actually not. It's just I had some internet issues, and then I had some microphone issues because I did commentary, and then I just thought, fuck it, it's going to cost me way too much money to get all the peripherals for the microphone. Where the fuck is my camera? So boom, here's my camera. I'll be seeing you next time on the next review of The Flash. Keep it here.